Hey, Stream Team. Welcome to let's start over.
That went well.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to be great. Okay.
Welcome to Balls Deep, a humorous yet informative medical show with a mission of optimizing your performance in the bedroom, the bathroom, and the boardroom. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Pazona, a board-certified urologist and CEO of Pazona MD. We hope you enjoy. Now, let's jump right in. Stream Team, welcome to another episode of Balls Deep. Dr. Joe Pazona, joined with Miss Cat Williams.
Hi.
Good morning, Cat.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How have you been doing?
I'm doing pretty well. There were a lot of Christmas cookies that appeared on the counter of our kitchen as I returned home, and there are very few left. So that's what I've been doing.
How's your working out going?
The working out is going well, but the consumption of cookies is going better. So that's a balance that has not been reached.
Well, a struggle for all of us.
A struggle for everyone.
This holiday season. Yes,
absolutely. But today,
yes,
I wanted to talk about something that is current in the news in the United States, and I think something that everyone has heard about, and something that is what we were just talking about in our last couple of episodes. So I want to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
The situation with the United HealthCare CEO.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a delicate subject, right? And
more than.
To say the least. And I think it is important for us to have conversations around the status of the United Healthcare system and how broken it is. And it's been interesting as an observer, especially someone who's in the healthcare system intimately, to see the response of people. And I think it's worth a conversation to hit some of the big talking points as to what's gone on here. Now, obviously, we're not, like you said before we got on air here, we're not investigative reporters. We're not conspiracy theorists. And, we're not also here to do anything that's, disrespectful or inappropriate. But obviously people are outraged here. So, let's have a candid discussion about this and our thoughts. And maybe, Kat, you could just start with providing just sort of a 30,000 foot overview of the situation for those people who may not be up to speed with this.
Okay. Ready to go deep?
Let's do it.
Balls deep.
So, again, I am not a journalist, an investigative reporter. I am not a criminologist or a member of any police team. I am simply, as you are in this case, a lay part of the public who is hearing this news, which is truly tragic and horrifying news about the murder of the United HealthCare CEO in New York City. And what we know, as just a person who's consuming news as part of the public, is that the suspect in this murder is a young man in his 20s, well-educated, seemingly from a good family, and someone of some means who has come to a very serious frustration with the healthcare company. It seems, from what I understand thus far, as though he may have had some surgery, a back surgery, and then perhaps he had suffered with some chronic pain either before, during, and after. But I think all of those details are in flux, and we're still learning about what the truth of the situation may be. But the point is, his frustration in some ways pushed him to commit this terrible, terrible act to take someone else's life. And I think we have to talk about that. I think we have to talk about this level of frustration that I think is felt by a lot of people. And to say, of course, you would think it goes without saying, but again, I think we should say it. Violence of any kind doesn't promote a conversation. it's never warranted. It's never okay. And I don't want to be insensitive in this discussion on any level, but the level of frustration with healthcare companies, I think this awful, awful act has brought this back into the forefront of the conversation. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And it's a shame that there had to be the murder of a human being,
a person, a
who
father,
was a 50-year-old father and a husband. And I mean, that resonates with me. I'm a dad of 3 kids. I'm married. I'm in healthcare. This is scary stuff. And I think the outcry by the public
has been surprising.
It really has been.
And has been concerning. I don't know what you've heard. I'll throw in some things. A lot of things that I've read in doing a little research to talk about this today, things that were posted on different platforms of social media that were not, I will say, were not sympathetic and were rather cutting, rather biting, things that really took me by surprise. A couple of comments that I read were rough. One thing I read said something to the effect of, "Sorry, our empathy is out of network." Wow.
Yeah.
That's harsh. And I think, though, that's so wrong, and that was not the right thing to say. People are frustrated. People are hurting, and people are really at a level of a fever pitch of frustration with the health insurance companies and with the healthcare system in this country.
I think when we look at having important discussions in our country, first and foremost, we cannot lose our humanity when having these discussions. Otherwise, we shouldn't have the discussion. What's the point? As someone said, when they go low, we go high.
Absolutely.
I get it. If there's anyone who feels the frustration of the U.S. healthcare system, it's this guy sitting right here. I live it on a daily basis on behalf of my patients. I, for the past 4+ years, have been building a healthcare practice, and I'm intimately involved, as we've shared on previous episodes, the challenges from both the physician and the patient side. But people, we can't lose our humanity in this discussion. And we are not condoning any sort of these comments because, again, it shows a lack of empathy. And listen, there's plenty of bad people in the world, from all professions. And there's plenty of good people. But when we start following the same tactics as the people who are hurting us, it makes us no better than them. So I think that's first and foremost, is we shouldn't be condoning these comments. And I think there's going to be a big backlash. I mean, I saw a LinkedIn article talking about people potentially are going to be hurting their own ability to get jobs based on how they've commented on this on social media posts.
Right.
People are paying attention. We can't lose our humanity. So I think that's
But that
first and
doesn't
foremost.
mean that the conversation and the discussions do not need to happen. They absolutely do need to happen. But it's sad that it takes such a sensational act, such a terrible, violent act, to bring the discussion back into the forefront of the media.
Well, welcome to America, right?
Right.
Where unless it's a sensational headline, we don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it.
I think all of us can think of a variety of topics that are in the national debate, especially
Currently.
especially
Sure.
after a recent election. And we can look at all the hot topic issues that were discussed. And it's not to say that some of those issues aren't important to some people. It's not to say that there are people who are not being marginalized. I don't
Absolutely.
mean to say that. However, is there a problem that is more fundamental to our country than the health and wellness of every single American and everyone in our country, other than the healthcare system?
Well, it's the one thing that touches all of us, despite gender, despite race, despite your socioeconomic situation, your occupation. We are all a part of this, and it affects all of us. It's the one. It seems to be the one. There may be something else I'm not thinking of, but it seems to be the one sort of the great equalizer. It's the one thing we all have to deal with, and that it affects us all dramatically.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. That is the one thing that unites and bonds us all is the healthcare system. We all at some point are going to consume healthcare. We're going to be on that side of, at some point, we're all going to be a patient. So it's a shame that it took the cold-blooded murder of someone in the insurance industry to bring this to the forefront. This is what we should have been discussing in our presidential debates and all of our local debates, not some of these other issues that, again, I'm not saying they're not important, but the fact that they get such attention that is outweighed maybe to their impact on the country as a whole, whereas this healthcare thing, we all know it's a broken system. We all know, frankly, it just sucks.
Yeah.
And the reactions to people show how frustrated they are. And I get it and I understand it, but rather than lose your humanity and talk about the death of a human being as if it's some flippant thing, why don't instead we do something about it?
So I think that's the point we wanted to make here today. Obviously, no violence, nothing even remotely approaching a violent act. But what can we do? I will share something, a personal item. I received this. I even brought a visual aid. So I received in the mail at the very end of November. This is very interesting to me. We have health insurance, which we've had very good health insurance for several years. We pay a lot of money for this health insurance, and supposedly it is top of the top. Yet, I received at the end of November this bill for $4,480. I have had no idea what this was for. And the bill is for services that were rendered on January 19th, 2023. I just got the bill.
2 years ago.
This is almost 2 years ago. So the first thing I thought is, oh my gosh, this is a fraudulent piece of paper. What in the world? I didn't have a surgery. I don't even know what happened in 23. It was 2 years ago. Through some digging and several very tedious phone calls, it comes up that this was the date of a breast MRI that my doctor has scheduled. There's some history of breast cancer in my family, so this is part of my plan to stay on top of it. So long story short, apparently this wonderful insurance, they say, paid $0 of the breast MRI, which I also do every year. And they have paid $0. And thus 2 years later, I have been sent a bill for almost $5,000. So as angry and as frustrated as this made me in the moment, trust me, and after a full day of phone calls trying to track down what this thing was even for, I was exhausted, frustrated, angry, so angry, and not knowing what to do about it. How do I fight this? How do I take care of this? I have been too sucked into the frustration and the mayhem of all this insurance, and I'm still pretty amped about it over this crazy thing. Again, 2 years later, I just wanted to share that to say we're not up here as people talking about something. We're a part of this too, and it's affecting us. I mean, this affected me. It came in the last 3 weeks. But I'm not going to go shoot somebody. I'm not going to go down to this medical center and throw a crazy hissy fit. But what can we do going forward? There have to be other methods and other ways to deal with this system, even as one lay person out there in the public. And that's me talking a long time. I'll let you talk now. But what do we do?
Well, like
what does the average person do?
Well, like everything else in this country, we have to vote with our wallet because that is the only thing that's going to make a difference. So what can you do? So if you own a small business or you're self-insured, drop your insurance.
But that's easier said than done for a lot of people. We can say that easily. Drop your health insurance. What then do you do?
Well, let me get to it.
Okay, he's going to get to it.
Dear Lord, woman.
I'm
She's getting spicy
I'm getting
today.
spicy. I'm
Jeez.
saucy. I'm amped. I'm amped over this topic. Go ahead.
You see what I deal with, people. Dear
Daily
Lord.
basis. Daily basis.
So, there, as we talked about, there's health savings plans. There's catastrophic insurance for, again, we're not saying go uninsured.
Right.
There are going to be events where, yes, insurance is needed, but for day-to-day general preventative, general health care, it's not worth it. You get predatory pricing schemes. You can't even get a price for some of these services.
Mm-hmm.
So that's first and foremost is you do have options. We talked about them before. So health savings accounts are an option. So that's number one. Number two, start supporting physicians and medical practices that are independent.
When you say independent, you mean doctors who are direct pay, direct care.
Absolutely.
The doctors are not accepting insurance. They're not dealing with that.
We talked about in our last episode
did.
the direct care, direct payment model. So whether it's direct primary care, DPC, or direct specialty care, what we're transitioning to, support these practices because we recognize the system is broken and we're trying to get out of it, and we're trying to get cost transparency back into it and make it such that not only is it more affordable, that you can get the care you deserve. In this particular case, we've heard these three terms. What is it? Deny, delay, defend, right?
Deny, delay, defend.
These are the tactics of insurance companies. We're gonna deny care. We're gonna
deny the claim.
We're gonna deny which
the
basically
claim.
ends up being we're not paying for that. Mm-hmm. We're going to delay decisions such that if we make you wait long enough and submit
You'll
enough
drop
paperwork,
your claim because you're exhausted.
And that's what they do with physician offices. We get so sick of these prior authorizations and peer-to-peer reviews telling me how to practice, just like, forget it.
You quit.
And then ultimately the defend and or depose. They've got big pockets. They will take you to court.
They will litigate it until you, the small individual person, you cannot either emotionally or financially afford to continue the fight against these behemoth companies, right?
Exactly. Right. So I think those are the two biggest things you can do. You've got choices in this country. You just don't think so. You think, well, I need insurance. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe back in the day when it did what it was supposed to do, which was truly defray medical costs, truly share risk, it made sense. Mm-hmm. It's not the case anymore.
Right.
When you are a publicly traded company, your primary job is to make money for your shareholders.
You are a for-profit company. Correct.
That's it.
Correct.
And again, we can complain about it all we want. We created the system, people. That is our society. That is capitalism at its core, right? Make a profit. The problem is in healthcare, the way you make a profit is you take money out of the system and you don't give it to the patients and physicians to deliver the care.
Back.
Exactly.
Correct.
So we shouldn't be surprised how we got here, but we can do stuff about it. So my hope as a result of this tragedy is that we just start talking about this on a more regular basis and people start making tangible changes and making choices that'll make a difference rather than just sending out mean-spirited tweets about it.
That's not right.
It's just, I get it. You're frustrated. By no means.
We're all frustrated.
We are neither condoning the actions of United HealthCare and or the potential professional actions of that particular individual who was killed. I don't know anything about him. Mm-hmm. I don't know what he did or didn't do. I know he was a figurehead of a company that most of us don't care for. I also am trying to be as empathetic as possible as to what would drive a 26-year-old who seemingly had the entire world in front of him down this path. Mm-hmm. And that... again, I'm not going to speculate or go into conspiracy theories. Did he have mental illness? How much was he suffering with his pain?
We have
I don't know.
idea.
But some chain of events led a seemingly 26-year-old who had the entire world at the tip of his fingers down a path to murder another human being. And that is a symptom of the bigger disease. Let's not focus on the symptom. Let's focus on the root cause of the illness. what we believe in our practice, and what we need to do in this greater discussion with the U.S. healthcare system is that it is broken. It does not work for the large majority of people, and the only people who seemingly are benefiting hand over fist are companies that are taking money out of the system to make profits for their shareholders. And there are things you can do. So that's what I would like to leave with, is that overall arching concept, and trying to just approach this with some empathy on both sides.
I think that's great.
So,
Thanks for talking about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And hopefully we've calmed down here with our
I've calmed
heated...
down a little bit, although I still have this bill, and the thing is, it's not resolved. So this will be a long journey of me dealing with the healthcare insurance companies and a medical facility to see what to do about this.
Yeah.
So,
And you're married to a physician.
and I'm married to a physician, and I have a father who is a physician, so I'm not a stranger to the industry.
But it shows
still a part of it.
none of us
Still
are
a
immune
part
to
of
it, right?
None of us are immune.
So,
But
well,
we'll
Kat,
continue.
thank you for a lovely but passionate episode here. And for the record, she's really lovely, and she gets a little heated every now and then.
But I'm adorable.
So with that, Stream team, thanks as always for tuning in. We hope that you're finding these discussions to be helpful. We obviously want to help you in the bedroom, the bathroom, and the boardroom, but we can't ignore that we are all part of this healthcare system, and that it impacts all of us, that we are all patients, that we are all consumers of it, and that, yes, I have a very privileged look at the healthcare system from the physician side, and we want to have these discussions in an empathetic and positive and actionable way. So if you find these discussions helpful, please share them with friends. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. And until next time, please show yourself a little bit more love and grace. We're all works in progress, and these are opportunities to improve. Thanks, and have a great day.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Balls Deep. If you'd like to join our Stream team of listeners, please click the subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. For more information about our practice, Pazona MD, please visit pazonamd.com. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and the content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice. The show does not constitute the practice of medicine. No doctor-patient relationship is formed through this podcast or any of the social media channels related to this show. The use of this information is at the user's own risk. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions.